Hello and welcome back. In this video, we're going to get our asteroids working. And as we sort of set up those prefabs in the last video, there's a bit of complication with this because, right, we're going to have the asteroids start large, and then as they get hit, they'll kind of morph into this medium. You'll get two of those medium ones, and then once you hit one of the medium ones, it breaks into two, and there's two smaller ones. So there's a bit going on, and it's going to take a little bit of work here, and I guess there's different ways to do it. You know, again, I've sort of solved it one way, but possibly different solutions as well. So let's first, we did put on the polygon colliders, the rigid bodies, and let's kind of get into making some code. And we don't want to create a bunch of different scripts, one for this one for this medium, one for the small. We want to sort of all put it together. And we're going to use switch statements, so something a little bit new, and we'll take a look at that. So let's first create a script. And we're going to create a C# script. And what did I call it? I think asteroid. Asteroid is probably good enough. Asteroid. So this is our asteroid script. And let's open that up. Now, one nice thing is that we can use that same movement in terms of the wrap that we did before. So we're going to put that in, but let's deal with that a little bit later here. So I'm just going to come up near the top and put in a few variables just to sort of get us going here. One thing, we're going to need a float value. Actually, let's make that public. Just make it easier. Float. And I'm going to call this max thrust. And you'll see why. And we'll set that to 10F. And we can change that if we need to. And we'll also create another one, float, and what I call it, max spin. And the idea with these two, and I've set them both to 10, is that we're creating a bit of a value here so that all the asteroids are kind of different in terms of where they're moving and how they're sort of responding. And again, it's a bit of a, these numbers here are just values I put in. We'll see how they go. We need a rigid body, of course. So rigid body 2D, RB 2D. And that will be to grab our add force to it, basically when it's instantiated. That will be the big thing. Now, I'm going to put in two game objects as well, and they are going to be, I'm going to call it asteroid M for medium, and same idea, asteroid S for small. So I don't have the large one because the large one will be the original. We never start off with anything but large asteroids, and it's because of the hits that we get them smaller and smaller. Okay, so we've got those in there. And while we're at it, let's just put in the audio source. And, I was toying around with this, and if I was to redo it, I might modify this, but I'll put them in for the moment. Clip. There we go. And I just called them bang large, public video clip. And the reason why, so bang M, the reason why is that once we destroy, the asset, then I think I did the bang small because that's sort of the end of this process. I actually didn't end up using that here. So that's it might be better on the game manager. And so I might change that up after the fact here. But let's get this working in its basic form here. So we're going to find the RB2D. So let us get that going. So get the component and the rigid body. Okay, and what else should we get? We might as well get the sound. Again, like I said, the sound we might modify after. And, audio source. Get component audio source. There we are. And what else should we do here? We're going to have to find the game manager after. But we'll leave this at the start. So we'll leave a spot for the game manager here. Maybe I'll just put a little note. I'm going to have a game manager. Okay, that's the same thing up here. And in fact, while I'm at it too, I think we'll just leave the sound off. So I'm just going to put those as comments at the moment because I know I need to deal with those. Now what we're going to do is right at the start, give it some movement, okay? And because we're going to use slightly different, and again, yeah, this here, well, you'll sort of see what we're doing. One thing I didn't do is up here, public, and I'm calling this as an int and asteroid stage. And the idea here is that if it's 3, it means it's the large asteroid. If it's 2, it's going to be the medium-sized, and if it's 1, it's going to be the small size. So it's sort of running down 3, 2, 1 like that. So what I've got here is a switch statement, and so the switch is based on the asteroid stage. And so at the start, what we can do is we set the cases. And so basically case 3, whoops, we don't need a bracket there, case 3 is if the asteroid stage is 3. Okay, so the switch case refers to whatever value this is. So basically if the case is that asteroid stage is 3, so in the large case, what's going to happen? Well, we are going to vector 2. Let me get this right here. So vector 2 thrust. So we're going to create this vector 2, which I'm going to call thrust here. And what we're going to do is create a bit of a random, so a new vector 2 that's going to be a bit of a random range. And because I want it to go sort of in either direction, I'm going to put max thrust with a negative and max thrust with a positive. So, and then we want to do, so that's the x value, and then the y value would be the same. So I guess I could just copy that, but I'll write it out again here. So random dot range, and then again between negative max thrust and positive max thrust. Sorry, it's a little bit long here. Whoops, missing the semicolon. Okay, so that should have had a semicolon at the end. Okay, perfect. So that is case 3. So we're going to start it off with a bit of thrust, okay, going in one direction or the other, right? Sort of negative on the x, positive on the x possibly, and same thing with on the y there. So it might move up or down, left or right. That's kind of the idea. And the same idea here is, we're going to create another float. And I just called this spin, and again, just a random dot range and negative max spin, because again, it might be going left, it might be going right. So we'll just sort of put those values in. Okay, now we've just created values here, we actually haven't applied them. So what I need to do is RB2D dot add I think just add force is fine. So, and then we'll use the thrust as our force, and then RB2D dot add torque. So torque will give you the spin, and that will be our spin. Okay, now what you might be saying to yourself, well, why do we have this error here? And the reason is that at each switch, end of each switch statement, we have to write break. Okay, and so in that case, we've got sort of a force here. Now let's just sort of take a break from that, and what we'll do is we'll put that wrap text on, or that wrap code, so that it wraps it around. I'm just going to grab the code again from bullet wrap, okay, because it's going to be the same thing. I'm going to copy all this. Now I'm going to do something a little bit different. Let's see. Yeah, I'll just grab this, right? What I'm going to do is, because that's so much code, and we've already got enough code in our start and in our update, I'm actually going to put this into its own function. So I'm going to go void, I'm going to call it wrap, and what I'm going to do is paste all of that in. Okay, so we've got a function called wrap, and it's got all that code in here, and what I'm going to do is on the update, I'm just going to run that wrap code. Okay, so it's always going to be checking for this, so there's really no different than putting it right into the update, but it's just going to keep things a little bit clearer or cleaner, because I can always do that too, right? Just to make it a little bit cleaner, I can hide what this wrap code does. The wrap code I know works from previous ship movement and the bullet movement. Why have it cluttering up the update? Just a call to the wrap lets me know, hey, it's going to run this wrap code. And if I need to look at it, I can get in there, press that, and then make modifications. But let's just see what we've got here, okay? So I'm going to save this. I don't see any errors. Hopefully we're okay. I'm going to go back into Unity. Let us pull out one of our things, one of our prefabs here. So asteroid large, I'm going to put it in and then add the code to it. So scripts, asteroid. Now the asteroid stage here, I do have to set to 3. These ones at the moment, M and S, we should be okay. We'll deal with that later. Let's just see if we do get movement and it does wrap. That's kind of what we're worried about here. So let's take a look at that. So I'm going to hit play. Good. So now it's a very slow movement there, but it is rotating, it is moving, and we can see, if we wait for a second here, see if it's going to wrap. And it should. Now these numbers, like I said, might be too low. So there, it did wrap across, right? Again, the numbers in the wrap might need to be modified simply because this is a little bit bigger, and so you might need it to go more off the screen to make it look a little bit better. But if we played around with these numbers just quickly, and you can see there, so not too much spin, but it's definitely going. And I'm just going to watch this. Yeah, I mean, the wrap could be a little bit better. It could go further off the screen and then, appear a little bit later. But yeah, it's not bad. And again, these numbers are for you. Now we have to be a little bit careful because we don't know what value it's choosing at the moment. So it could have just been, that's probably too fast. So you'd have to sort of maybe do a little bit of work to see what those values are and then find something that makes the game playable. And remember, this would be a value that we might change as we go forward, right? We might be saying, oh, okay, stage 1, it's this, stage 2, stage 3, right? We get it to go up. Now, one thing obviously that's not happening now is we're not having collisions either with the player and or with the with shooting. So we'll do that in the next video.